the Cortez Edgar fight was like the only one that wasn't competitive.
Right, yeah, because like
The other ones were awesome.
Yeah, in our next one, we go to featherweight with Giga Chikadze and Omar Morales. Oh, I should note as well, the refs tonight are Boshatsky, Sataki, and Goddard. Just in case anyone cares.
Man, my gut told me to like Chikadze at that plus 150. Like I really did, but I didn't know enough about Omar Morales to like. I didn't want to like hose myself, and it's because he's undefeated. And, like I don't know,
Right.
I didn't want to like run into some phenom or something. I don't know. So my gut just knee jerk reaction was I did like the Chikadze at plus 150. Like I gave it a little bit of consideration, but I just didn't know enough about Morales, and I knew he was undefeated, and I was just like, I don't want to run into something crazy. But hindsight, that plus 150 was a good number on that.
Yeah, I think in my pick notes, I said to stay away from this fight because it was going to be too hard to pick. But if you had,
it was a banger.
Yeah, and I said if you're going to bet anyone, you should probably go with the dog just because it was going to make more money. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Man, it was Morales' first fight at featherweight. He came down from lightweight at 55. So he came down from 55 to 45, and I don't know if did it really pay off.
I think he was getting a lot of love from the odds makers on that move because he's undefeated at a heavier weight class, and they're saying, "Oh, you can go down a weight class, like you'll have your same strength and you'll fight smaller guys." But that's not necessarily always the case,
Yeah, it's not always like, especially those two weight classes, like 55 and 45
they're seemingly different.
But they're also like, I feel like those are the weight classes that more guys could probably bounce between, or that maybe 45 and 35 is probably the closest, but
I think both, honestly.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's not that drastic. Like it's not like middle and light heavy. Like it's just 10 pounds, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Right, yeah, and especially whenever some of the bigger lightweights cut down from, you're talking like 185, 190 if you're Khabib, but then some of the bigger featherweights cut down from like 180 like Max Holloway. So essentially you're talking about, if they walk around at 185, they can make both those weights and be big at both weights.
That's so wild to me, bro, like how they do that and how they pull that off. Like that really is wild. Did you ever have to do a weight cut, or you were a heavyweight, so it didn't matter?
Not really. I mean, I would have to get into like wrestling shape, and that would obviously cut some weight from me.
Just naturally from getting in shape.
Yeah, but I never had to go to like severe cuts. I've seen some guys do some wild stuff though, like Caleb Kleinman eating ice chips and sucking lemon wedges for like 2.5 weeks to drop like 40 pounds.
Like, bro, I don't think I could do it, man. Like, I'll be real. Like, I don't think that. Like, I don't know. I think I would crack, bro, for real. Like, those guys' level of discipline and just like ability to like torture themselves is just hats off to them. Like, yeah. By the time they get into the cage, like that really is the fun part. They've already gone. Like, even if you lose, you've already gone through the worst part.
Right. Yeah. Well, most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah, most of the time for sure. But man, this fight was a fucking banger, though. Round honestly, one, both guys were just throwing with high velocity.
That's exactly. I was going to say velocity being the key word. They were throwing hard strikes, like they were swinging for the fences, man. They weren't connecting a whole bunch. I mean, good movement. They had good head movement, both of them. Definitely, Chikadze was a better striker, I thought. And Morales seemed to be like really proud. Did you feel like he just wasn't gonna grapple? Like he was like, "I'll strike with you."
Some may say proud. Some may say like, yeah. That's probably it. It's probably like an ego type of thing.
Right. Like it was dumb, but
yeah, exactly. I don't think it benefited him, but yeah, I think he got caught up in the moment, and I think maybe even that weight cut maybe went to his head. Like, oh, I should be able to knock this guy around, or
right.
Like, do you know what I mean? Just I'm the bigger man. Like, oh, like this guy's not gonna be able to hurt me. He's a little 145er. When, like you said, in reality, if they're both just average dudes that work at FedEx, they're probably like the exact same size dude.
Right. It's like, exactly right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I give round one to Chikadze. Did you?
Yes. Yeah, I did. I
thought he landed the harder shots. He was just fucking firing piss missiles.
Yeah. I love that.
Fucking winging them.
Dude, he was, yeah. And also he landed at like a 2-to-1 clip on the stats. It was like 36-18 in actual strikes landed.
Yeah, that was one of those first rounds where like my eye test told me that it was like really close, and then you look at those six strike numbers, and
Chikadze was just throwing really good combos too, man. Like he was putting on a striking display last night. And that's his whole strong suit, right? Like he's a terrible grappler for the most part. But his striking is like with all the top featherweights. It's just that he does have good grappling.
It was impressive. Like it's almost like when you watch like a strong arm quarterback throw a football and it just comes out of his hand different, like it just jumps out. Like that's how Chikadze's punches, like they just look like harder. Like they just look more dangerous than other featherweights punches. Like when you watch them
too.
Yeah, fast and hard. Definitely. Did you give round two? Who'd you give round two to?
Fast and hard. Sorry to give you a flex on that one. I actually gave round 2 to Chikadze as well.
Me too. His power just like he was hurting Morales more than Morales was hurting him because like Morales was landing. Like both guys were landing clean and both guys were landing hard. Like both guys showed chins. Like it was a banger. Like it was a fucking banger. Like it was so fun to watch.
This is one where like the scorecards kind of betray how entertaining the fight is, right?
Exactly.
Like Edgar Cortez is way less entertaining than this fight, even though it ends up being the same score.
The scorecards are like identical. Yeah, it's so trippy how like that it works out like that.
That's that weird 10-9 must. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, very true, very true.
I scored. So yeah, second round for me went to Chikadze as well, just behind more damage. But I did note that Morales has a crazy chin to start the third.
Yeah, he does. And then that chin finally started to crack.
Finally.
Yeah,
but he survived.
In round 3, Chikadze finally dropped Morales. But you're right, he survived, and it ended up going to a decision. And, yeah, Chikadze, I guess, was it 30-27, essentially across the board, unanimous decision. And I agree with that. That's exactly how I scored it. So, yeah, Giga Chikadze cashed as a plus 150. I said he's a beast of a striker.
Yeah.
But it is limited in his grappling, and the featherweight division is just like so deep that if you're not a well-rounded fighter, I mean, there is like a ceiling, like a cap on your potential. And it's not to say people can't improve upon things, but you know what I mean. Featherweight, that's a tough division to just be learning on the fly in. So
featherweight's probably where you find your most average, like not to say offensively average, but or no offense meant by this, but like your average size human would probably fight featherweight, lightweight. You know what I mean? Like most guys. That's why there's so much depth there, is because there's just more humans in that weight.
I think that'd be true like 30, 40 years ago, but I think the average human's like fat now.
True. I just mean if you're in shape. You know what I mean? Like for your height, like most guys being 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah, the average
should not walk around above 185. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, the average American right now would be like a 5'7", like a 5'7" light heavyweight.
yeah, for real.
Oh man, but
that's sad.
But yeah, man. So Giga Chikadze, he looked really good, man. He's going to be one of those guys that's not invincible, but just doesn't. Nobody's going to be that stoked to have to hop in the cage with him because he's a dangerous. You're going to come out of it with some fucking some knots and some fucking he's gonna hit you with some pretty dangerous.
Yeah, he's a guy that if you put him up against another really confident striker, you're gonna get an awesome, entertaining fight where both guys are just throwing, like you said earlier, piss missiles at each other.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you give him an elite grappler like a Brian Ortega, it's gonna be no fun because Ortega's just gonna get on him and choke him out within probably 4 minutes. It's like the whole. The quote, there's levels to it. You know what I mean? You just got to find the right level for him right now.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, fun fighter to watch, though. Fun fighter to watch. If you like strikers and you like fucking guys, trying to go for a finish, yeah, Giga Chikadze might be your guy. But, yeah, man, we'll keep it pushing to this next bantamweight matchup.